The noise is what everyone says. There is a lot of noise on social media, but the signal and extracting the signal through the noise is finding out what people mean with what they say. Welcome to the Social Media CX Podcast. I'm Brooke Sellas, CEO of B Squared Media, and each week we'll tackle the challenges of social care head on with candid interviews, real-world case studies, and actionable advice to turn your social channels into loyalty-building, revenue-driving, dopamine machines. Hey friends, welcome back to the Social Media CX Podcast, where we explore the conversations that connect brands and people and turn listeners into loyalists. Last week, we talked about how combining quantitative and qualitative data gives you superpowers, aka the ability to see patterns and emotions through one lens. But all that listening means nothing if it never becomes a story. So today we're talking about how to turn the signals you're collecting through social listening, the mentions, the reviews, emojis, the threads, into narratives that actually shape how your brand shows up. Because the difference between a report and a revelation, it's usually a story. You know that feeling when your social feed is so full of mentions, tags, DMs, and it just feels like chaos? That's because most brands are swimming in data, but they've forgotten to tune in. Here's how I like to think about it. The noise is what everyone says. There is a lot of noise on social media, but the signal and extracting the signal through the noise is finding out what people mean with what they say. So if 50 people are complaining about your hiring process being slow, the noise is the word slow, but the signal might be something like uncertainty or lack of communication, or I just don't feel valued as a job seeker. To find your signal, I want you to group mentions by emotion and not just topic. Look for patterns in the tone, not just the keyword. You could also use sentiment analysis inside of your social listening tool to help you with this. And then ask yourself, what's the underlying truth behind this comment? Your audience is constantly, and I do mean constantly, writing your next campaign brief. You just have to learn how to read between the lines or how to extract the signal from the noise. Here's where we turn your listening into something usable. When I was working with a healthcare client last year, we saw that competitor mentions kept circling around confusing sign-up process. Competitor listening, by the way, is like a whole other thing. I should have a whole episode on that. We'll get to that. But think about that. Confusing sign-up process. This is your top competitor. So instead of just looking at our own forms, we helped them build a campaign called Healthcare Made Human. And we literally took the pain point from their top competitor, flipped it into a story about simplicity, transparency, and trust. Could we have said, like, our forms are not confusing? Sure, we could have, but that's a feature, right? It's a fact about the form. We want to make people feel something. Remember, content is the vehicle, emotion is the destination. So when we say healthcare made human, and we've made a story about simplicity, transparency, trust, we make people feel something. And when people feel something, they might align with you and then hopefully buy from you. That's what I want you to do. So try this framework: insight to idea to impact. The insight is, what are people really saying? How are we extracting the signal through the noise? The idea is, how does that connect to your brand purpose? How can you make it your brand story? And then impact is, what action, campaign, or content could you use to tell this story or shift the story if it's a negative story that we're trying to turn into a positive one? If you're listening and reporting, but not creating these types of insights, you're leaving value and visibility on the table. Finally, let's talk about how we can create some new creative currency for you. And yes, AI, woo, it's amazing. It's so great at finding patterns. It's so great. It really is. But AI has a really hard time with context. It doesn't know that if your customer's saying fine, that might actually mean furious. How many times have you asked your partner, hey, how are you? And you're like, fine. Like, fine? That's like scary, right? It gets like your blood boiling a little bit because we know that fine as an answer doesn't usually really mean fine. It means something else, maybe furious. So when you're using AI tools for listening, make sure that you're prompting a little bit smarter for this context. Hey there, social media pros. Want to turn social listening into your superpower? At the Social Media CX podcast, we know that great customer experiences start with really understanding your audience. That's why we teamed up with Sprout Social to bring you the Social Listening Workbook, your step-by-step guide to smarter engagement, stronger relationships, and better business results. The best part? It's free. Download it now at bit.ly/B2Social listening. That's B as in B squared media, 2 as in the number, social listening with no spaces. And once you do, you'll start listening better, responding smarter, and winning on social. Here's a prompt for you if you're uploading your social listening data into AI. What patterns are emerging emotionally around insert topic here? Here's another prompt for you. What do my customers expect when they say, and then use some of those keywords or keyword phrases, right? Use those noise pieces to find the signal. Then layer in your brand's why. So for every signal you see, ask, what story does this tell about our relationship with customers? You can also use that as a prompt in AI. What story does this tell about our relationship with customers? That would be the final prompt after asking about patterns, emotional patterns, and what do customers expect when they say these words. That's where the narrative power lives, how you connect meaning to metrics. So here's your challenge this week. Go into your listening dashboard and pick one trending phrase. And instead of measuring it, I want you to interpret it. Ask, what is the story here? And then tell that story through content, through care, or your community. Because listening gives you the truth, but storytelling gives it traction. Until next time, think conversation, not campaign. And hey, if you got value from today's episode or you just love geeking out over social listening with me, do me a solid. Go to ratethispodcast.com/SMCX and drop a review on your favorite podcast app. It's the best way to help more marketers turn conversations into conversions like we talk about every week here on the show. Thanks so much. Until next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Social Media CX podcast. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to up their social care game.